Hello. My name is Alexis Martinez, and here I'm presenting my marketing strategy and funding strategy for 3D Visionary Prototypes as our startup name. So here I wanted to start with some concept knowledge because it's important for our marketing strategy to know our targeted demographic, and for that I'm going to choose an age range of about 25 to 40. I'm trying to choose a less conservative age range because I know there's a wave of entrepreneurs that are a lot younger now, and we want to focus on people in positions to take initiative. So that's why that older crowd is kind of recognized, because we know those are the people that are probably going to have money to put into their own startups and businesses, and they're going to be in those industries like for entertainment and food. So we have video game industries, the entertainment industry, restaurant industry, and fast food industry. So those are the four businesses we want to focus on, and this is just a general idea of what people we want to target for our startup. So we have a very unique advantage as a 3D printing prototype place, because normally people just work on 3D printing. They don't really want to put the effort in designing for people, or they want people to show up with an idea in mind. So they're expecting these people to be in a creative spell already, and sometimes that stuff is outsourced by a bigger team, especially when you start getting into bigger businesses like food chains, and video game design. Like, that's a lot of work already, and some people aren't creative people, so that's where we come into play as well. And we're going to be able to be giving people high detail, high accuracy, and a great customized solution. And especially being able to specialize in these fields, we're going to grow our toolbox as we work with more and more customers. So the planned perception is how we want our targeted audience to view us, and even people outside of our targeted audience. Because when we say we're a 3D prototyping shop, like, people don't really know what that means. They understand 3D printing, prototyping, they understand the word, but we are 3D printing and prototyping for specifically a video game industry and a food marketing industry. So how do we combine the two, right? That's going to be kind of interesting for people to understand. And so on one part, we want people to know that we're forward thinking no matter what, that we offer state of the art solutions, and we have outstanding customer service. That's going to put us above all the competition, right? And so when we talk to people, when people say our name, we want them to perceive us as, oh, they are a technology company that is incredibly futuristic, that is incredibly progressive, and extremely eco-friendly. So just to harp on this a bit, because when people say, hey, you make machines for food and you also design video game graphics, like, how do you do the two? How is this even combined, right? So for our future marketing ideas, I know when people say our name, I want them to actually just go straight to our media and be like, hey, you know what? I don't really know how to explain this in a deeper meaning, or maybe it's too long to explain to people, that they can just show them easily. Here are our products, right? And so for that, to just gain more ground, I really want to work with designers and artists to really showcase our work and have people see how easy we are to work with, right? I want to have an augmented reality integration system. So that just means I want people to be able to pick up their phone and really be able to see how their quick mock-ups of their machines and maybe even their characters are, as we go into the virtual reality space, how these dimensions stack up with where we want the physical item to be and the virtual item to be. And then sustainability campaigns are going to be important in our future, because people know 3D printing takes up like some type of plastic, but what they don't know normally is that it's actually the plant protein from peas. And so that's important information to kind of help people understand that some of this stuff can be biodegradable. If you're very smart about it and you actually know your ins and outs of filaments, you can actually recycle a lot of material and not waste anywhere near as much as you think. You can make the items hollow, a plethora of things, and just running that campaign, I think, will shed a light on why this isn't a completely disruptive technology that's just going to litter our landfills. Like being able to grow the company in size, I don't want people to be worried about what are you doing to the sea turtles and such. Okay, sorry for the annoying voice, that's just how I perceive some of these hindrances. And the virtual reality showroom, I'm hoping that it's free. Well, I'm not hoping that it's free. I know it's free, but I am hoping that people would just jump into the world. Like once you design a world on places like VR Chat, it's a game, and also Rec Room, you can upload your files and files for free. So this is where we can showcase some of our masterpieces, things that have gone public that people want to show, and I want to make an interactive online catalog just in case people really can't access these virtual rooms or augmented reality easily. I know that even in some places, when you have a click through picture based house arrangement that you go to view new homes, I see that some people have a lot of hard time like actually viewing the home because it's just too much data for their device. So we want this to be user friendly as well. We don't want people to have this crazy advanced computer or something that's so far out of their budget that they can't actually even come and begin to visualize what we can do for them. And then for the channel strategy, I want this to be a place. Oh, I want this to be a place where people come to for information. And the best way to throw out this information is going to be visual, because the end product is very visually appealing. The actual production process will be visually appealing, and I want to play to that advantage. So we're going to engage with people via YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and we're going to regularly post content, interact with industry influencers, because that's the best way to really get your product out really quickly into the words of people's mouths. And then we're going to use email marketing as well. We're going to put a substantial amount into email marketing actually, because I want to be able to for us to target our actual audience. And then publishing high quality informative content will be important, because on top of just being informative, sometimes it is a bore to just hear all the technical terms. And being able to see a 3D printer move is actually quite entertaining. And it will just open the eyes to people and see, like, if we can actually zoom in on how things are being printed and show people that you don't need to have a hollow device or a fully saturated device, and you can still get these great products out of it. So for our competitors, I really looked for some good examples, and this is the funny part. As of now, Gambody is really good at what they do, but they only sell in a marketplace book model. So what I mean by that is online market. It's all they service, and then they use a catalog version. So it's not really something people can expand into or share their creative thoughts with them. It's just what they have is what they have. And Statsia, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly still. I was trying hard to find the pronunciation online. They're trying to do what we want to do, what we want to accomplish. And what that means is they're having a hard time really making a turnover profit, because they just simply aren't quick enough. They're still looking for ways to be quicker, to prototype quickly, to print full on projects quickly. And that's just something that comes with time and practice and patience, and honestly, years of playing with very specific machines to get that output. As much as I would like to think that this is a fully futuristic, user friendly service, it's not. And that's where we compete the best. So we know that these companies that are more established have more resources, more brand recognition, and more capital to invest. And you would think that they invested more on their technology and their talent and their marketing, but a lot of these 3D printing prototyping places are very stingy and stagnant with their cash flow. So they will do as little as possible. A lot of places refuse to even have a clean area for servicing, and if they do pour a lot of money into their technology, generally I've noticed their talent is very lacking, or they do things really inefficiently. So those are the two things we can definitely beat people with, and marketing, because we're planning for marketing ahead of time. So I think it's really important to stand out with outstanding customer service. I want people to be able to walk the floor when we're showing them their prototypes and showing them their demos, that we have a team that you can just ask, how long is this going to take? And with our years of experience, we can give them an honest time frame, as in we know what can go wrong with this type of build because we've built these types of things that also include these types of requirements, and we know that this is a very tricky process. This we would rather print for a longer time than get you out a quick prototype because of XYZ. We want responsive customer service because, again, a lot of these smaller places really only run by themselves. They depend on themselves. They only answer during working hours for themselves. And what I would like to be able to do is provide this customer support during first, second, and third shift. That is most distribution companies and any place that's putting things together. They have 3 shifts, and that night shift still needs customer service. So I would really want to outsource a bit of the response time so that people can constantly get help and reassurance in their prototypes. And customization assistance, because we will be working with these two specialized groups for, again, video games and restaurants. It'll be so helpful for us to bring their ideas to life, because somebody will come in with maybe an idea, but they're generally either not technically inclined to know how they would be able to actually fulfill this device, or they come in and they're just not as creative. Like some video game designers, they don't actually create their own graphics, so they outsource it and pay for graphics, which can be extremely expensive. So having this customization assistance will really help both sides be able to bring their ideas to life, which I know will definitely outbeat the competition, help us outbeat the competition. And then we want reliable order fulfillment, and that just means we get the prototype out to them as soon as possible when we told them that we would get it out by, because a lot of things can go wrong in 3D printing, just like any other creative process. A lot of things can go wrong, they take a long time, there's hindrances, but just being able to continuously give them a product with a reliable end time, a completion time, that's going to really help us stand out. And then, of course, a feedback loop. We want all the feedback we can get about our services and our customer services, because social services in general, like anything that requires those social skills, it's important that we are behaving correctly with our customers as well. So, this is how we're going to stand out big time. And then we have a proposed budget for our monthly marketing cost. Here we're saying that on monthly average, we're going to need around $4,000 and $4,150. And and with that, we'll be doing social media marketing on a budget of 2,000. Like, we're just starting out, so we know that social media marketing is quite a bit of cash, and that includes like putting out advertisements on YouTube or TikTok. Like, paying for these, they kind of add up. So the monthly budget is kind of sparse right now, but this is just to start and to make sure that the people that we're marketing to is pretty local. And so for our email marketing, it seems kind of high at $700 a month, but we want to make sure that we're targeting people. I would really prefer that we zone in on this method of targeting people rather than just sending email marketing to random people that sign up maybe once and don't really want anything to do with our company and they just wanted to see what we had, so if we have reoccurring visitors or people who are planning a budget or anything like that, I would really like to target those emails focused on them, because I know that these these big endeavors take time. So people who are more closely hitting their deadlines of when they actually want to start prototyping, I want to market to them first. Keep them excited, keep them engaged, know that they can come to us with these ideas. And then print materials will get a budget of $200 monthly, and that is just for like couponing, flyers, posters. You can order a substantial amount of products with just $200 monthly. As long as you buy in bulk, a big amount, you can easily get up to 4,000 posters with that or more. And we're just starting off, so even black and white posters, boom. As long as people can see what we're doing on there, this would help a lot. And then for event sponsorship and attendance, right now it's only $750 a month. This is where I want to add more money to almost immediately, because we're starting local, right? So I want to make sure that everything that's local knows that we're here and that we're in this city, that they can work with us, that we're not far away, that they don't need to run to infinity just to get to us or run through LA traffic just to beat us to where we are. So this I want to grow immediately, but for now, 750 is like a good amount for local events. Nothing big, no cons, just everything in the city that we choose to put the production in. So I also want to cover our role as a founder here. We have the most strategic insight, and we know what realistic goals are for 3D printing. So strategic insight as in, we as the founders know that we have this experience, this immense experience in 3D printing and this immense experience in design processes, and we know what we can offer to people realistically. And we know that there's things that go wrong, and to be fully transparent with people so they're not worried about their prototype never being created or that we're just taking their money or anything like that. We can just mitigate that and give them an actual time, like a time slot of how long this will possibly take, especially with prototyping and then finally completing the whole project. Like we'll be able to draw out those goals, especially on specifically what they need to make these products viable and what they need to actually fulfill their ideas. And so aligning resources, here we know how to actually work with our filaments, and we know where to source our filaments, which is really important, especially when you're working on these bigger projects, because you can run through filament so quickly, especially if things keep going wrong. You can keep running through as much filament as you would never imagine. You can run through spools in a few hours, even if you have a fast enough machine. And you can only get a fast enough machine if you know how to work with that machine, how to modify that machine, and how to mitigate the actual stress it endures. So we, as the founders, have a passion for 3D printing technology, as you can see from everything that I've told you so far on how we have these insights and resources. This to us is something that we know can help many different industries, but focusing on these two industries, we know we can make the biggest impact for these people extremely easily, and it'll be just as enjoyable for us as it is for them when they get that end product. Now I want to cover our finance strategy. First, we're going to start off with bootstrapping and seed funding, because we are going to start off small. To cut to the point, I want to keep as much equity as possible, simply for our employees. I want to be able to pay them fairly, and I want to be able to pay them for how much work they're going to be doing, especially with a creative process. That work has always been underpaid historically. So I really want to help that situation in fair compensation. So with the goals of bootstrapping, we're going to start very small with our own income. get us into a space, a clean space, and have a proficient 3D printing machine and a proficient 3D scanner. So, with those, we'll be able to do a lot alone, which we already have basically the technology. It's just getting ourselves into a space, which we need a bit of assistance with, which we are receiving at the moment. And then seed funding. So we're hoping eventually we will be able to ask relatives once we have a big enough portfolio, a competitive portfolio to show them, to to ease their mind and have them know that their money will be going to a great start off. And then once we finally run through and get a decent amount of cash, whenever that is, whenever we actually get to where we want to be, where we have several machines and such, where we are finally outgrowing our space with the investments that we've received, we will be looking through grants. And first, we're going to be focusing on very local grants, anything that helps us starting up a business, anything that says, hey, we want to bring this type of business to our city. We want to help you grow. We will be applying for those, as well as then state grants, where there might be based on a minority owning the business, or they might be based as a women in STEM business. And there are grants for such categories, and I fully intend on applying for those as soon as possible. And then for our financial projection and cost, we have two values, 40,000 and 170,000. 40,000 being our complete bootstrapping amount, which we know is enough for a storefront setup. And then the 170,000 amount is our goal for expansion after our first storefront. And I wanted to put this number out there because I want to stay flexible. If there's a great possibility that we can grow pretty immediately as long as the marketing is done correctly and as long as our first few customers are extremely satisfied and they get the word out and they share their stories and their experience with us. I know we can scale quite quickly. So this 170K will be coming from our initial investors and grants. And I am so thankful that you sat through this whole presentation. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, just let me know. And I will also be sending over a packet with all of this information as well. Thank you so much. Also, have a great summer. Goodbye.